This is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee.
Hello, dear friends and longtime subscribers. This is a bit different than what you might be expecting from Morning Coffee with the Young Panda. If you're one of the few people who has followed this channel from the early days, you'll know Morning Coffee was sort of a lower effort attempt to get out videos faster. That's what Morning Coffee was. But today, and maybe in the future, Morning Coffee is going to be a little, I guess not a podcast, whatever. I'm just gonna talk. All of the Morning Coffee videos had scripts. The only time I've done unscripted videos was on the unscripted Young Missy review, and then I did a few Young Panda podcasts. One of them with my wife. And today, I think I don't want to talk for like an hour. I just want to talk for a bit about two little media projects I've seen recently. And I don't want to heavily edit, or more, I don't have the time to heavily edit. I'd love to heavily edit, but I'm just a busy boy now with the busy job. So I'll be enjoying my morning coffee before my work commute with you. And let's hang out and talk about Euphoria. Any big Euphoria fans out there? Raise your hands. Yeah, so I think it's great. I really don't care. I'm fully aware that it is really dumb. That's the issue, really, is the story. The story is Degrassi. It's super basic, base level idiocy, really. That's the whole story. It is the experience of being a teenager. But it's what's interesting about it is the production. The production of it is so phenomenal because it's this pure, visceral, melodramatic experience of being, an idiot kid. And the production really captures that essence. It really grasps, this is all, everyone's taking this shit way too seriously, but when you're a teenager in high school, that's your world. It's hard to believe that there's a world outside of that. So you're gonna take everything so seriously. It's an exaggeration of what high school life is like. Because you look back on your high school experience and you're like, wow, that was pretty stupid. They write everything so extremely that, we had drug dealers, we had psycho guys, we had abusive people in my hometown, but it really, nothing was ever that serious, but it felt that serious. It felt like, if a drug dealer kicked someone's ass or something, then it'd be like, oh God, oh my God. It's like it's whatever happens with Fez, except Fez is cool. Man, the drug dealers by my house, not nice guys. No Fezes in my life, unfortunately. But yeah, I think it's pretty perfectly my taste, because I equally love A24 movies and Jersey Shore. I love Jersey Shore for more sort of visceral, animalistic, lizard brain reasons. I love Jersey Shore. I literally don't care if it's trash. I know it's trash, but it's just, regardless, it's good drama. I think you could take that whole first season of Jersey Shore, all of the footage, even the unused stuff if you can get it, but just from what we have available, you could edit that, I don't even know, what is it, 10 hours of the first season of Jersey Shore, and then edit it down to a really compelling hour-and-a-half long movie, where these characters are ultimately, bad people, but terribly flawed, but pretty much all of them are sympathetic. And I think that's what makes a good drama. The drama comes from the opposing types of people, but the reason that it's good and kind of sticks with you and resonates is if the people at their heart are somewhat decent and have flaws, you know? So, you know, even if it's just a bunch of dumbasses living in a house together, or dumbasses going to school together and drama ensues, I'm always going to be interested in that. I love fucking gossip. I love the chisme. Spill the fucking tea. I always want to know. And that's what Euphoria is. Euphoria is the gossip, the hot gossip. But then what takes it that step further is that purely like indulgent production. Like every single thing that they think to do and shoot, they totally do it. And coming from a filmmaking background, I am just at awe with everything they do. Every decision they make, I'm like, oh my God, oh Jesus, oh God. Like it's a sort of braggadocious at one point. Like I remember there's a scene where like the camera like flips up into the ceiling and like travels them room to room, and I was like, this is so unnecessary, but I don't care. It's all really fun to see. It's all fun to see it go down. Oh man, I remember season 1, episode 4, the fair episode. Oh my God, like it was so fast moving. The camera was just flying around this fair and like, you know, experiencing all of the little moments from everyone's personal story. That first season was a bit more, it had a bit more of that, like, oh, it feels like a high school drama situation, but it's all kind of surface level and silly. But this second season was so much more dramatic, and I don't know, man, I'm here for it. I hear all the criticisms that people have on Twitter, but I don't really care. It doesn't really bother me. Like, the one thing that I do wish could be altered in some way is I do not like how the new drug dealer lady, the scary one, how her plot was just dropped. That, she did threaten, like, if you skip out on me, I'm going to sell your body to, you know, sex slavery. And you don't put a threat like that unless you're going to follow through. It's just kind of annoying. Because they introduce her and then she's a threat. Like, you're supposed to take her seriously. So if she's wronged, you are going to expect there to be consequences. You can't just have her get away with it. I think it's sort of the writer's responsibility to act like the karmic entity in their world. I know they wanted to focus on other things, but I mean, any type of wrap up, even if it wasn't satisfying, I think would be enough. I'm not sure if next season they're gonna have her be more of a villainous presence, sort of an antagonist for the whole thing, but number one, I don't necessarily want that, and if they wrap it up really quickly, it's gonna feel rushed. Anyways, this whole drug dealer subplot is not why I'm here, so again, I'm not really upset about it. Some people online are like, oh, this is an example of why Euphoria has bad writing. And I just want to say, no, Euphoria does not have bad writing, it has dumb story. The characters are all taken seriously, but the stories and plots and the things that they end up doing are the acts of teenagers being dumb. So it kind of exists in that world, and I'm okay with dumb things happening in it because it's not a world where things are realistic at all. It's this kind of other plane where things are just as dramatic as real life, but perhaps not as simple. Every character has this very deep thing going on except Kat. I will say I don't like what they did with Kat this season. They really put her to the side, changed her character a lot, decreased her bad bitch energy, which was starting to grow, and I really liked it. And I mean, they had it at the beginning where she didn't like her relationship with the nice guy because she's a bad bitch and she wants, you know, to get fucked by Dothraki guys. I don't know, but they had a direction for her, and then she just kind of petered out and fell off. So yeah, there are some legitimate criticisms for this season, and I get that, but I don't care at all. And I think a lot of the decisions that people are criticizing are actually kind of bold decisions that are the things that make it stand out above anything else. Like, for example, Elliot's song in the season 2 finale, I mean, if you haven't seen it or you don't care, Elliot, a character that was introduced at the beginning of the season, who basically gets Rue back into drugs and he develops a bit of a crush for her over time. But overall, he's very like quiet and subdued and doesn't really say much, doesn't participate much, but he does rat her out to her mom. He rats out Rue, says like, oh, Rue is doing drugs, and at the end, Rue comes by like, hey, I just want to say I forgive you for backstabbing me like that. He busts out his guitar and he just sings her this song, and the lyrics explain like, I really loved you. Like, I really, really, you were the light of my life for a while. You were the best thing. You were, I think he says a star. You were the star that fell on my head, and I had to give you up to see you shine again. So he's saying like, I want you to stay with me and to do drugs in my house, and we can just ride out this little journey together for even longer because you were the best part of it. You're my best friend. You're my only real friend. And I saw how much it was destroying you. And even though I'm not gonna stop, I want you to stop so that you can be all of the bright, shining things that I love. And it was beautiful. And the thing that I thought was bold was they played the whole song. He did 3 choruses and 2 verses. Like, it was good. It was a good song. I was into it, and I was like emotional and like tearing up while it was happening, because it was just cutting back between them, and it was just really simple. And people on Twitter are just like really bagging on it. Like, everyone, almost, more people. I'm seeing more people criticize it than not. But for me, for the type of film enjoyer I am, it was perfect. It was great. And I think that Sam Levinson is like, he's a super indulgent filmmaker who's going to do what he thinks is a good idea. HBO is giving him that permission, and I think it's totally paying off. Not every decision needs to be made for what's going to make everyone the most happy. It's an artistic expression, and if he thought that it was best to have that, I appreciated it. I thought it was good. And what makes something bold or interesting is the fact that it takes those brave steps. It goes in a direction where most other shows and movies and stories won't go, can't go, because they have to appeal to as many people as possible. But Euphoria is not really thinking about appeal. It's got specific goals. So I know when they drop a subplot, or if they make a weird decision, like, the one of the jokes online I really liked I was a part of was when the play episode started, and the play had the most outlandish budget. I was a theater kid in high school, and oh my god, that play was far the budget was so insanely high for that play. They had so much production in it. But I know the creators, they don't just want to represent reality. They don't want to represent reality. They want it to be cool and visual and awesome. Like, I fucking when she's walking on that little like circle, but in the center of the circle is a row of lockers that is like rotating as she's walking, and it looks like she's walking down a row of lockers that is like continuous, because it's where the fuck do you put that when the shot's over? Like, that can't just be wheeled out by a couple of sophomore techs. But it was fun. It was a cool visual. There was a lot of cool there's a lot of cool things that you got to see. So visually, it's very interesting. And I don't think the show is going for realism, and I don't think the show is going for satisfying everyone. So I think it's weird that it's so popular, probably because, it's a bit relatable to an extreme degree, but very relatable. Someone that had any extreme experiences similar to the ones in the show are going to be like, oh fuck yeah, dude, that's what happened to me. I did have a crazy ex who like beat a guy to death or something like that. Or, I was involved in drugs and there was a shootout with the cops. Most people are going to go through that. Most people. But I think all of that is what's making it popular. Those kind of extreme elements are making it really popular among people. And then to see the criticisms from everyone, it kind of shows like they're getting something that most mainstream media doesn't give. They're giving a bold production, a very bold way to write and create stuff that you don't really see in a lot of things. And that's the beauty of A24, but it's taken out of its normal context. You know, maybe this will give the society a bit more of appreciation, like for something like It Comes at Night, where there is no monster, when the true monster is fear. The true horror is the unknown. And not unknown for the sake of there's something might be in there, but the unknown because you don't know what it is, and it's gonna drive you to do something crazy. That movie was really good. And nobody liked it because it didn't have a monster. And it said it comes at night, so everyone expected a monster, and they didn't get exactly what they wanted, so they said, fuck this. So maybe Euphoria can help bring a couple people over from the, oh, well, you know, I didn't get exactly what I wanted, but it was all good, and it clearly had something it wanted to say, and it focused on that. It wasn't trying to be dramatically satisfying for everything. It's not a Marvel property, it's a piece of art created by a handful of creative, interesting filmmakers. I mean, they shot it on film, just saying. It's got an old school heart with a new school production, and I think it's great. I think it's even better than a lot of people are giving it credit for. There's a lot of, again, plot issues, but I don't give a fuck about plot, like at all. I really don't care about plot. I'm a character guy. And it's super character driven. Everything is about exploring these characters. Fuck plot. Fuck like even linearity in the plot lines. Like just it bounces all over the place. Flashback, flash forward, current day, crazy shit all the time. Flashback to fucking the childhood of people. Like flashback to this. Flashback in the middle of a scene, and that's because it's not trying to be plot driven at all. Like fuck plot. Like I don't care. I love these characters. They're all great characters. Almost every single one is good. Like, oh my god, the big lip girl. I forget her name. You know, if you've seen the show, the big lip girl. Talk about going from one of the most annoying characters to showing how, oh, if you treated her properly, if anyone ever treated her properly, she'd be on your side. She'd care. And her care for Fez at the end, and it was too little too late, but, you know, I came to enjoy the character. And that's it. And, you know, Elliot's song exposed that not only does he love her, but like that says a lot about his personal character. Because he's quiet and he doesn't really say anything, and he's very subdued. But you can tell he feels very strongly when he plays that song. It like unravels this cover that he had on the whole show. That might have made him sort of uninteresting in general, but it like exposed like, oh my god, this person was someone that I was kind of ignoring because they weren't as flamboyant as everyone else. But he clearly has a deep sensitivity to him. And I don't know why Twitter thought we should jump all over that and criticize it. Maybe they weren't listening to the lyrics, because the lyrics were exposing, and that song was directly about her. I saw some people even saying like, oh, he's just trying to promote his music, the actor. Dude, you think a showrunner would let an actor, can I just do a plug real quick? Are you serious? That's ridiculous. But yeah, all the characters are great. I mean, hell, Nate Jacobs is an insane person. Nate Jacobs he's gonna kill someone. He's gonna be a murderer. He's already beaten people to death. He's done terrible, horrible things, super abusive, insane, and the show still finds a way to make you sort of care about him. To sort of, I mean, when he's emotional, you don't just, I mean, at least I don't, just brush it off. It's like, ah, fuck you, but damn, that sucks. That's Euphoria. I'm thinking like a 9 out of 10, just because there are some serious issues, but I love it so much. But if I had to rate it objectively, I'd go 8 out of 10, just because, I mean, yeah, there are a lot of serious, like, problems in it that, for an objective ranking, you know, I mean, I can't be objective. I'm a person. I hate objectivity, the concept of objectivity in your reviews. Like, what? How can you be objective? You're a person. You have a pre-established bias. Whatever. That's a topic for another day. Let's talk about The Last Duel, that Ridley Scott movie with swords and Matt Damon. Matt Damon looks so fucking stupid in the movie. I love it. Yeah, really interesting choices. I mean, it's Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. It's fucking Good Will Hunting guys in the medieval times in France. And they've got... And Matt Damon has a mullet. Like, just very visually, it's really dumb. But then I looked it up, and like, those are accurate hairstyles for the time and place. People just did that. The mullet was to make it easier to get your helmet on. And that stupid little posh mushroom cap that Homeboy has, that Ben Affleck has, is standard for the time. And Adam Driver really fits in that time period, too. He just looks like an old painting. But ultimately, this story was, it was okay. I mean, the concept was good. It had a lot of potential, but I think it, you know, I know I just said all that stuff about being bold and making wild choices, but most of the choices in Euphoria pay off for me. There's a pointless Rashomon structure, meaning they explore the same conflict through 3 different eyes. Except it's not a single conflict, it's like months of these people's lives and just kind of getting their perspective on it. And there's not much change. It just kind of like highlights different scenes, like scenes where the other character isn't present, or scenes from another person's point of view that we'd seen already. So each one is just allowing for a different perspective. And I think it kind of fucked it up. I mean, it didn't need it. With good direction and editing, you can include multiple perspectives into a single narrative, you know, continuous chronological timeline. I think it almost feels like a cop-out to do the Rashomon thing more than it does have any real effect. Because the one big thing that is different is basically here's the plot. If you don't want the plot, if this glowing first few sentences have convinced you that you want to watch it, fuck off. But Adam Driver rapes a woman, Matt Damon's wife, and that's what is the justification for The Last Duel. They're fighting to the death to see if, to basically let God be the judge of who was right or wrong. Trial by combat, basically. And then if Matt Damon wins, then his wife doesn't get burned alive. But if Adam Driver wins, then the wife gets burned alive. And apparently it's a historically true event. This actually happened. But they go about the rape scene itself with Adam Driver, you know, his perspective first. And in that scene, he rapes her. He does. He 100% does. He pushes himself on her. And she whimpers and begs the whole time. And I know that in those days, that was a bit more common for that to not be considered rape. But like in a modern perspective, I'm like, yeah, no, that's rape. That's 100% rape. She said that she didn't want it. She showed zero interest in it at all. There wasn't even a single hint that she might be interested in this. It was purely assault. But then you get it from her perspective, and it's way more gruesome. It's way more obvious. I mean, but that's the thing. It wasn't unobvious, it was completely obvious. But now, from her perspective, it was even worse. So any type of nuance of saying like, oh, Adam Driver didn't realize what he was doing, that goes out the window. So what is the point of having these multiple perspectives? What is the point of that? I'm not saying they should have had, oh, from Adam Driver's perspective, it was completely consensual. Because no, he totally raped her. I'm just saying the point of doing a Rashomon thing is to have a sort of morally ambiguous or truthfully ambiguous, like what actually happened, perspective, and how viewing the event through each person's memory is going to give you a different version, and each version makes that person seem okay, make them seem good. And then the truth you see is somewhere in the middle. When you have that perspective change, you are granted so much more view into the truth behind what each person's feeling and what actually happened. And it ultimately, Rashomon is about the fallibility of memory and the uncertainty of justice. It's an interesting problem. But this movie, there's no ambiguity. There's nothing, like, it's clear, oh, Adam Driver's a monster, and then you get her perspective, and you're like, oh yeah, no, Adam Driver's really a monster. I don't know where, I mean, that wasn't, I mean, I don't see what the real, I mean, I guess the point is, like, rape is bad, and it was really, really common, and it's still pretty common, but this is what rape was? I don't know. Culturally, women have no power, there's that aspect of it, but even the themes seem to be on the side. I'm not sure what the point of all this is. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to get out of it. You could have done everything in a linear chronological sense, and I think it would have been better, because then it would have at least just been the story, and you can glean all kinds of things from just a story, but getting it with all of these writing and editing specifics, like it's supposed to be highlighting something. Specifics, did you hear that shit? Specifics. All of the different choices that they make that draw a lot of attention to the production and the writing and the editing, they don't say anything in and of themselves. They just kind of distract, honestly. I don't know why you couldn't have just had it all chronological and then try to push every perspective in that moment. They're really, I mean, the rape was really the only thing. I mean, it didn't look like from Adam Driver's perspective he didn't do anything wrong. Totally looked like he raped a woman. So I'm not sure what the point of any of this was. And I'm not sure who it was for either. Was it like Oscar bait? It just feels a little too grimy to actually do anything Oscar baity. Is it for like older history people? It's like, no, it's a little too brutal, and I mean, that kind of shit doesn't fly with my dad. It's just a little gross and pointless. And then, but it's also too, you know, textually strange because of all of the chronological alterations. Like, I don't know if my dad would be interested in following it enough. Young people, it's too dull. The whole thing is boring, and you have to rewatch the same, like, 30-minute sequence 3 times before you actually get to the end. So, like, middle-aged, bitter men, it's too woke, because it insinuates that rape might be bad. So what is it, intersectional feminist activists? No, again, too white-centric and too many desaturated colors. I think it might have been something Ridley Scott wanted to make. Which, I mean, hey, you gotta give directors what they want. In order for them to make the next great thing, they have to be able to play around and experiment. So, whatever. I mean, it's not bad. The duel at the end was really interesting because I had all the context and it was all in my head and I had put it together chronologically and it was nice. And in the last scene where they're fighting to the death, I'm like, hey, I got the context. I know who each person is. I guess I am aware of how Adam Driver thinks of himself, but I don't care. I mean, you didn't have, anyways. It was interesting, and I was like, yeah, go Matt Damon. Fight to the death and win, Matt Damon. You're kind of a terrible shithead, and you are, that's one thing that the movie does, I guess, sort of interestingly, is like, it's not like her sex with him is all that consensual. It's kind of up to his force and whatever he wants anyways, so her life sucks. That's the moral. But the end fight was engaging because I was like, hey, this is the less of two evils for sure. Getting burned alive versus having to deal with a guy. And then he dies apparently a year after that fight on his own, and she gets to live the rest of her life, which is apparently a true story. So that was cool. I mean, good for her. Go, girl boss. Yeah, ultimately, I think that one is gonna get a 6 out of 10 from me. It just, I guess I liked it. Like, it wasn't super bad. It was super well shot. It was super well put together. Matt Damon is honestly not that distracting. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck were weirdly good casting choices. And Adam Driver's perfect. Like, all the acting is great. All the performances are great. It just comes down to that structural issue. The story was interesting, and I wasn't ever bored, but I wasn't too engaged either. It was good. It was good. It wasn't really good. It wasn't great. But it wasn't and it wasn't boring. It was good. It was good. But it could have been great. It could have been great. It just needed to make some changes. But again, that's the same thing I'm complaining about the Twitter people to say. Anyways. I'm talking about how everything appeals to my taste because this is my show. And I'm thankful that you dropped by and hung out with me while I finished my morning coffee. I'm still not quite done, but I'm out of shit to say. So maybe I'll do this again. Maybe you'll see me again. Maybe I'll make another video. Maybe I'll disappear for another 9 months. Maybe no one's gonna watch this in the first place and I'm talking to no one. So, if that, see you next time.